Hello, future bestsellers. I just had this like waving, and then I thought, wait, did I look and see if we were live yet? So sorry if there was an extra long wave. Howdy, everybody. We are super glad to see you guys today. I'm Lisa Daly, and today I have with me, as always, my lovely and talented co hosts. I'm going to start with you, Robert. Would you tell us a little about you and your awesome channel, please?
Sure. My channel is The Story Detective, where I put various forms of storytelling under a Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft for the viewer. I actually just this week planned out my next season. I am going to try to do this thing like a TV show, film a season, and get well ahead enough to start launching some things.
That
Love
is
it.
a good idea. I have long said I feel like YouTube needs to set it up so that in our analytics so that we can do that and
Yeah.
not take breaks and feel like we're
Yeah.
losing views and like our channel is crashing without us.
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
is meant to maintain a channel every week, every day,
No.
forever
They
without.
keep the
Yeah.
algorithm, so it's hard. I mean, I'm technically doing it for me, I guess, and for the people that are watching. And I've got like three main topics, and I'm going to do like series in each. So it's not just like random videos. I have something that's more concrete that will hopefully pull people in and keep them watching. So we'll see how it works out.
I love that. More siloed. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Michelle is here. Tell us all about you. Hello. I'm so glad you guys are both here today. Tell us a little about you and your channel.
My channel, which has been on a break, it wasn't planned like Robert's though, uh, is traditional publishing chat, writing blogs, and writing workshops. And I write young adult and middle grade novels.
Excellent. Fantastic. As always, thanks you guys both for being here today. I am Lisa Daly, and on my channel we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. And I have a book coming out this week, and we were just talking about this a couple seconds ago. Well, first of all, let's say so it's coming out on Friday, which is very unusual and not something I would normally recommend. But when we come back from the comments, I will tell you why I am launching this book on a Friday, and we'll see if you, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, okay, so let's say hi to our friends in the chat, and we will get started. Excuse me, with our first 5 minute warm up pretty soon. Devin's here. Hello, Devin. We are super glad to see you today. Lainey's here and ready to roll. I'm going to slay it today. Slay this day, dang it. All right. Don't
Yes.
bring out the right. Watch your
Content.
language, Miss Lainey Davis. Swinton's here. Good morning. We are super glad to see you today. Mary's here. Hi, everybody. We're also so happy you get to hop on today. Glad to see you. Ooh, good question from Mary Putnam. I've been trying some voice to text tools. Anybody have a favorite? I tried the favorite of Michelle Schusterman. But it was on my Android, so maybe her iPhone, wondering if it's different. Oh, is
Okay,
it not
if you're on
working?
Android, then I think Dragon is like supposed to be
The
the
one.
yeah, the one.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, Dragon has for years been terrible for Mac people. And I
Yeah.
do love the little I use the same one that Michelle recommended, that I
Mhm.
dictate. I was just trying to make it go and it stopped. It looks like that. Then when you press it, you can see the logo slightly bigger for 1 second. No. Oh, forget it. Anyway, we've showed it to you a million times. It's just called Dictate. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a great app, and one of the things that I love is that I've tried a bunch of other ones, including like Google's talk to text and things like that. And the thing that always sucks with that for writers is that if you pause too long to think about the next line, it shuts off and you have to start the whole thing,
So annoying.
which the little app does not do that. But I think Dragon also has that feature where it just keeps going until you start talking again. So
Dragon is phenomenal. Like it almost made me wish I had Android just so I could use it. It's
so you
really good.
can, yeah, it is good, but like I said, it's been bad for Mac for a long time.
Yes, it's terrible for me.
I've only tried to use it like before I went to Mac, and by the time I switched over, it still wasn't good. So I needed
Yeah,
alternatives. But let us know how it works out for you because I'm interested to know how they improved that app.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Lainey says, Robert, I love that. Planning ahead is my jam. I Ditto. Good morning, Miss Texas G. We are super glad to see you here. RC is here. Woot woot Friday. Aw, thank you so much. Dragon on Android, good to know. Avi's here. Oh, you missed him. Avi. So Odie was he was on the he got a haircut last night. He was on the thing. I know he looks so cute. I love him when he has a hair. I mean, I love him all the time. But but I love him when he gets a haircut because he's so soft and clean.
Yeah.
He smells like coconuts. I love him. Yeah. Uh, all right, let's go ahead and get started with our first 5-minute warm-up sprint today. Let us know in the chat what you guys are working on. Robert, what are you going to be working on today?
I'm going to be editing my novel, so I'm a little bit behind, but not terribly. So moving forward.
That's good. That's very good. How about you, Michelle? What are you working on today?
I'm actually doing a book packager thing today, which is not usually a Wednesday job, but we're clocking extra hours because we have this big project we're trying to get on submission by the end of the month.
Ooh.
And it is rather a rush.
Ooh, okay. So we better make sure we get going on that.
Yeah.
I have a massive launch to-do list that I'm working on. So
Fun.
right, the second page is scarier. I have almost all. Well, you can't see it. I have almost all my check marks for the first page. Second page.
Hey, nice.
Not good. Yeah, exactly. All right. Oh, this is a good one. Michelle's writing guides, especially the ones she made on writing POVs, have cleared many doubts I've had. Here to get more
Yay.
guidance. Thank you. Oh,
Woo.
love that. That's so sweet. All right, here we go. We are going to start it off with our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. Let us know in the chat, you guys, what you are working on today. Let me make this big and we'll get rolling. All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Get your document open, your drink, your plans, etc. And sorry, I lost what I was going to say. Let's hit it. Let's get rolling. All right, here we go. We're going to do our first 5-minute warm-up sprint starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's cha-cha. All right, everybody. We are back. How did everybody do on that 5-minute warm up sprint?
Docs
Get my
opened.
bear-
Excellent. Fantastic. All right, guys, let us know what you are working on in the chat today. Ooh, Avi's got a question. Where are you?
I am in Bend, Oregon,
Ooh, that's very
and it was 20 degrees this morning.
what?
But by Friday, it's supposed to be getting up into the 80s. They are having some whiplash seasonal.
Wow. That's like Denver weather right there, right?
Kind of
80 one day and 12 below the next.
yes,
That's hard to pack for.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, I was too lazy to get my winter coat out of the back, so I've been like doubling up on hoodies when I take Rosa out, and it's not quite enough.
no. It's so weird to me that like I know intellectually that there is still snow and cold weather in other parts of the country. But it's been like yesterday was like 88 degrees. I rode out by the pool all day, like
Hey,
underneath the fan. It was a beautiful day. I have to walk at like 7:30 in the morning now or it gets too hot.
ugh.
So, yeah, I feel that. All right, fantastic.
Mm.
So, Miss Texas G's got a good question. I have a question about copyright. I saw a dramatization on Hulu that much resembles a story that I had put on the Deep Freeze about 5 years ago. It was unnerving. So, is your question that, hey, this thing is sort of like the thing that I was writing that I'm not done writing, and am I going to get in trouble if I finish it because of the Hulu movie? And the answer would be, unless you copy it, no.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would like if just look for what makes yours different from that one, and then use it as a comp.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the truth is that even if you tried to follow the exact story beats of this other story, it's first of all, it's in a different medium, so it's going to be completely different. But you are going to bring a much different perspective. So even if the facts of the story are similar, like what happens in like every small town romance is a trope where you have a million different setups, the small town baker and the whatever, the town pediatrician or whatever. Like you could have a million different books that have that same setup and they could all be different. So there was a big stink. Who was it? Robert, you're going to know about this, and the horror geek would if he's listening today. There was a guy who basically did a novelization. I want to say it was Friday the 13th, but I think or maybe Halloween. Anyway, he did a novelization of it. And there was a big brouhaha about it because he had done it on his own, but he didn't get the rights to it. There were other there was
Yeah.
another author that was contracted to do it, like it was stuck in development hell in Hollywood. And so, but this guy just was like, oh, I'm going to do it. The books were popular, but then he ended up getting in trouble because he was obviously using characters created by someone else that were under copyright, etc. So if you're trying to take somebody else's intellectual property and make a book out of their concept, as in characters, things like that, then no, you cannot do that. But if you are looking at two similar kind of stories, but you have your own characters and your own storyline, then it's fine. I hope that clears everything up.
Yeah, people take concepts from one another all the time. I remember reading, I think it was one of the first craft books I ever read that said if you read a book or watch a movie and say, wow, this is a good idea, but I could do better, and you take the same idea and do it in your own way, you just need to make sure, like Lisa said, that it's really, nothing but the concept left.
Right.
You're not doing the characters or too similar of,
Right.
storyline.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so let's do the I here I have a good example of this. So I have a book, a hockey romance, is called Cutting Edge, right? And I originally came up with this story. It's about a hockey player and a figure skater, and I thought, which like right now, similar to the movie, right? and I originally came up with this, and there was a line in there about like, well, that's the cutting edge. And I thought, oh, I should call it that. Now, my story is completely different, other than the fact that you have a hockey player and a figure skater fall in love. She maintains her career as a figure skater. She's a single skater. He does not give up playing professional hockey in order to be her partner. So like they're not vying for the doubles Olympics. So aside from the title and the fact that the two main characters have the same jobs at the beginning of the movie and the book, there's not any other similarities. Well, other than the fact that it's a love story. And that is okay.
Yeah.
But if I were to make the story about him, like if I were going to make the story a ripoff of the movie, I could not do that. That would not be okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what everybody's doing today. Mary is going to be doing some planning and journaling. Miss Texas G, if that does not, if we answered a different question than the one you wanted, or you need clarification on something, please like repost so we'll clarify that just in case. So Mary's just planning and journaling today, may do some writing but no pressure. Daisy's here. Hello Daisy, we're super glad to see you today. 88 Green, I usually watch replays because of the time zone, but I'm feeling like doing some writing right now, so I want to say hi. 88 Green, we're so happy to see you here. Welcome to the live show. All right. Swinton working on some beta revisions, just tweaks, so I'm very happy. Ooh, I love that. Well, this was a bit more specific. I recreated the life of Artful Dodger, who became a doctor while in Australia, lo and behold. Yeah.
So there's a show that has that same premise.
The same premise. I still think you could do it. Just give it a different title and just make sure that your characters are different. In particular, your, main character. Avi, ding, ding, ding. Hold on. This is it. You know what's going to happen, Avi. You deserve it. You've got it coming. It's not the first time, but here it goes. So, there are no original ideas, only unique perspectives. Write your book. The world needs your story. Absolutely, absolutely the truth. Absolutely.
And the reverse is also true. If you really do have an interesting concept, don't put it in writing for bigger companies because they'll take it.
True that. True. Comments here. Good morning, everybody. We are super glad to see you today. Okay, so I promised to tell you guys when we came back from the break, before we went into our next grid, why I am releasing my brand new book on a Friday. Let me see if I can share my screen here. First of all, it's nonfiction. It's coming out on Friday. It's called Write a Self-Help Book in 14 Days. I know. Well, I'm a super nerd, but I absolutely love self-help. I just do. I'm a dork. But this is like, I've really been honored to work with a number of 6-figure, 7-figure romance authors crafting their nonfiction books. And I have had a lot of people ask about this, and it's been something I wanted to do for a while. So I wrote it. Here's why it's coming out on a Friday. Last year, when I was putting the finishing touches on the cutting edge, my daughter, and I was finishing the end of it, but my daughter got really, really sick, and I was not going to make my deadline. And you guys probably know this, but if you miss a pre-order on Amazon, you're in pre-order jail for a year. So what did I do before they put me in pre-order jail, but I could totally see it coming? I put up pre-orders for every book I thought I was possibly going to write in the next year. And I'm furiously trying to get them all done. We'll see if I make my deadline. I was very ambitious. I know, right? I may end up in pre-order jail again. I might have to do the whole thing over again. But yeah, so I ended up in pre-order jail a year ago. I'm now out of pre-order jail. Whew, thank goodness for that. But that's why, because the longest you can make a pre-order on Amazon is a year away. And what did I do? I made it a year away, and that just happened to fall on a Friday. And so that's why my book is coming out on Friday. So yeah, there's that. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about we're going to come back and talk about this awesome comment, because I think it is going to be a kind of fascinating discussion. So we're going to do a writing sprint first. And also, we've spent a lot of time jibber jabbering. Time to write. Here we go.
Right.
All right. Okay, everybody, we got 20 minutes up on the clock. We're going to get our first real writing sprint today. Let's make the words happen. All right, everybody. Starting in 3, 2, 1. You can do it. All right, we are back. Let me just get this little thing right under control here. So how did everybody do on that last sprint?
Totally lost track of time.
I,
But in a good
sorta- I was gonna say I sort of love when that happens because it just means that you're like super into what you're doing, and I love it when it goes by that fast. I like it when I'm outside writing and then I will like look up and feel like, "Oh, I'm hungry, but I just ate breakfast, but it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. I didn't even realize it.
yeah.
So you guys let us know in the chat what you are working on today. John Stevenson the fourth is here. Hi, Michelle Tequila. I think he says that every time at the end of our thing. Heather's here today. So glad to see you. Miss Texas G says, "Oh wow, I didn't know you can make a pre-order that far out. Groovy." Yes, you can. I think it's I think it's like 1 day short of a year. Love, 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 love. Okay, so there have been many interpretations of both real life people and fictional characters. I believe there are many more perspectives to be discovered on anything, so don't feel limited by the general premise. This was advice to Miss Texas G, if you guys are just coming in now, who was working on a story about the life of Artful Dodger, who became a doctor while in Australia. And then now there's a film dramatization of that. So, or fictional story. So, yeah. So I think that is really, really, really good advice, right? That there are lots and lots of interpretations. I even think about last year, part of Sherlock Holmes, was it last year or 2 years ago? A couple years ago, part of the Sherlock Holmes books fell out of copyright, and but some of them were still in copyright, which is like the later ones were still in copyright, although those are also starting to fall off now. But what was fascinating was that there was a little bit of a big lawsuit around Enola Holmes because of the way that Sherlock Holmes was portrayed, like before.
I thought that was hilarious.
Right?
Because the quote I read was like the estate is suing because they characterized Sherlock as being too human, like too much
Right.
to the heart. Which isn't, I'm sure, how they put it, but like it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that was
heard
it.
Some stories about the estate.
There is something to that, though, right? You were saying, Robert, like that Sherlock Holmes as a character had obviously, as our characters do in a series, evolved some, and so they were saying, oh, he's this character from this Sherlock Holmes character from Enola Holmes is a lot more like the later stuff that's still in copyright versus the older stuff that's out of copyright. Of course, it's also a super convenient way to get the money. So there's that.
It was kind of ruled a couple of years ago that it was all pretty much, what do they call that? When it's open source material.
Oh, oh my God. You said open source. And so
Public
that now,
domain.
thank you, public domain.
But they said they would probably continue to keep suing regardless of that ruling. What it is, and you have to be careful with who you're dealing with. The Holmes estate has relatives and branches of relatives all over the world. I contacted the New York branch back when I was first starting the idea of playing around with a Holmes concept, because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. Most of them aren't relatives to begin with. And first I talked to this guy and he said, send me a proposal. I sent him a proposal. Months go by, I don't hear anything. So I contact him again and I get in touch with his wife. And his wife says, oh, you talked to my husband, who's a beast of a man, and we're divorced now. He was such a character. If you slipped him $50, he'd probably read your proposal. And he goes, but I'm in charge now. So send me your proposal. So I sent her the proposal. Nothing. And I heard from other people that were looking to get rights to things that the same thing happened to them. So they drop the ball until people start making money. Then they could hire staff writers and just come up with Holmes stories. They could be doing something with the character if they wanted to. Obviously, they haven't wanted to for a long time, but people have proven the character is still successful, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this is
Right.
our character.
Right. Something like to make them, and I can understand that. Like I've started putting my kids' names on my copyrights, like on my in my books, because I want to extend the life of my copyright for a little longer because I would like for my family to benefit from the work that I have done after I'm dead. But I also see like at a certain point, and the funny thing is my son's like, well, I think that, we should give it away for schools and we should do this. And I'm like, well, that'll be if I'm dead, that's your choice. If you don't, that I'm totally cool with that. But when you're talking about like 4 generations removed and, and all that stuff, I think that sort of ownership becomes a little more tenuous, especially if they're not really doing anything with it. They're just raking in the cash. But again, I have mixed feelings on this, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. 1,000 Great Books is here. Hello, we are super glad to see you. John has been querying more in the last few days. How's that going? On the rewrite I was talking about last week with the agent, she's passing on the project, but she told me I was a talented writer and to submit to her my other projects. That is a very, very good sign, John. Congratulations. That's awesome. Right? Because she says, like, I see the talent is there and I feel like you're going to hit one. This isn't it. But like, that's an excellent sign. If they don't, like, the best thing is obviously, I love the book and I want to sell it for $1 billion. That's the best thing you can get. But if they're not going to take it, this is really the best answer you can get.
It's true.
Yeah. Looking into it more, I feel like my novel has a glaring sensitivity reader problem. So, oh well. What does that mean? What do you mean you need a sensitivity reader and you're not going to get one? Do you mean sensitivity readers don't like? Would you explain that problem? I'm very curious as to that. Avi is here for the tea with Sherlock Land. Love that. Late and on hold with Dennis, but here in writing. Yes! You're dedicated. We love you. All right. So how does copyright work? Copyright is actually about the words on the page. We should get an attorney in here to talk about this in very specific detail. But there are trademarks and there are copyrights, and the copyright violation is if you were to like copy someone's, whatever you're copying what they wrote. And a trademark violation is something different than that. So I do think it's interesting. I'm fascinated right now with what's happening with Disney, because there are some elements of Disney's brand, like Steamboat Willie, that have gone into the public domain. So much so that Stephen Colbert now has a little Steamboat Willie in his intro graphics. And I think they are a company that is actively using their brand. Like we're not talking about like people who are just sort of letting it lie and scraping in the money. This is like actively part of the company that Walt Disney originally built. And I have some, even though I think Disney has done some things that are not so great as far as copyright, but I do actually see why they should be able to keep all their characters and not have, Steamboat Willie doing porn or something. So, right? There's that. All right. So John says, I can't change the story as it is integral, but people take advantage of a disabled person who also gets seriously hurt to make a bunch of money. I know, that's interesting. Let's do our next sprint. And I want to think about this because there are like a lot of different approaches that you could take with that. And
yeah, it's like, I don't feel like many premises inherently can be a problem. It's how you write them, like, and what the message is of the story.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of crappy stuff in the world, and part of an artist's job is to tell the truth about it.
Yes.
Some people might take it the wrong way, but
right. Yeah,
it is how you handle it. And
yeah,
it's wrong. If you're doing it, for other reasons, then you may need to solve the sensitivity reader.
Yeah. I think that's a really good I've seen a lot. Will not publish anything that shows violence or hatred towards a previously marginalized community. Oop, I just went through a different thing. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's good. I know that's such a challenging thing because it's like, how do you handle that? You want to make sure that, I mean, sensitivity readers' job is to make sure that you're not using biases or language that that negatively impacts a group. And generally we're talking about sort of an unconscious bias, right? But when you're talking about a character in the story and that it's sort of part of the plot, I think it just gets to be a little bit more complicated.
Mhm.
You were saying it depends on the content.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This feels like a good time to do a second sprint. Let's make it happen. Here we go. I did have a question for us, but we'll do this on the next one. All
Cool.
right. Here we go. Let's go ahead and put 20 minutes up on the clock. I sound like a game show host. We've got 20 minutes up on the clock. Who's going to go away the big winner today? Here we go, everybody. Starting in 3, 2, 1. That's right. All right, we are back. So, how did everybody do on that last sprint? I hope it went all right. How'd you do, Michelle?
Good. Sorry. Once again,
No,
lost time, but yeah, it's going good.
no pressure. That is it. Mary says, not getting much writing done since I was sending flowers to mom. Don't forget Mother's Day on Sunday. Thank you very much, Mary, for that public service announcement. Tequila. Dun, da, 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 dun, da. Heather says, yes, John and Maz, context is key. Let's see. Oh, yep. You know what? Heather is probably a really great source for this. As a parent of disabled adult child, I have certain advantages as a sensitivity reader. All right. Sorry. I'm sorry, Abby. That's a really nice offer, Heather. That's really, really sweet. Love that. Kara primarily worked on side character creation today. I'm working on social media posts for launch week. Speaking of launch week, our question is today, what's the most important thing you do, or sort of your favorite task or your go-to task for a book launch? Who wants to answer first?
I think you need to answer that, Lisa. You're in the middle of one.
I am in the middle of one. So I think the most important thing for me is my newsletter, which I'm cultivating all the time, not just during book launches. This is one of my pet peeves. You guys know this about me. You don't want to just reach out to your newsletter subscribers when you want money from them. You want to be communicating with them regularly. And I have sort of fallen down on the job. I have the book that's coming out is, and I'm very good with my core audience of romance readers, but I occasionally have neglected my self-help people. I'll send them stuff, but then I don't send it to them all the time. So yeah. So that's what I'm doing, is trying to create all kinds of helpful, useful things for my nonfiction readers that will also help to sell the book. So that would be number one, email. And obviously I'm doing some social media. So there's that. And I have a bunch, sent out to librarians and reviewers and things like that. How about you guys? Most important thing you do for a book launch?
I haven't done like, honestly, I'm sorry. I didn't do anything for my last couple book launches. Granted, they came out during the pandemic, so I felt like, I don't know. I'm sorry, Lisa. I totally fail at book launches. I've never been good at it.
I'm planning one, so I'm kind of listening to all your tips, Lisa. And that newsletter thing is something that I was also thinking about this week and figuring out what to make it about.
Yeah. Yeah. So your newsletter is really, really important to make sure that you're maintaining those subscribers. And you guys all know how I feel about this. If not, feel free to watch all my mini videos where I rant about newsletters. So there are a couple things I do for a book launch. One is I'm going to send out to media, although I am not, this is kind of a unique, book because it's for people who want to write a book, and so it's not something where I'm going to get like a lot of general reviewers covering it. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes, but I do think it's been librarians have been interested, which makes sense because it's sort of a writing reference book. So I'll do that. I'll send out to some podcasters and librarians and things like this. I'm way behind on that, which I normally do that months and months ahead of time. This is just one of those books. We're just going to see how it goes. I did a workbook, and I primarily been working on a course, which is the first time I've ever tried to launch a course and a book in the same month. I will let you know how it works and if it does. As far as that, I feel like you guys are like, I was like hoping to get some good stuff from the crowd, but I'll talk about book launches. You guys know I love that stuff. Heather's working on planning my Substack newsletter and got into my business planner. I love Substack. Let's talk about that for a second, since we started going off on author newsletters. I personally love the idea of Substack. I think they're beautiful. I love the idea that people can comment on the newsletter, that it sort of helps create a little bit of a community. I
Mhm.
like that you're encouraged by Substack to restack other other newsletters that are similar. I love so many things about it. And also, it does not fulfill some of the very basic functions of like email marketing that you need. Things like autoresponders and things like that, where if you've offered something, like I'm a really big fan of offering your readers some extra goodies, some extra little reader magnets, but you have to have a way to deliver that and, some contact with them after the fact. So I love the idea of Substack, but I have not switched over because it does not do all the things that I want it to do. So anybody else, is anybody using Substack? I know a lot of people you are.
Mhm.
So but you don't care about the automation kind of stuff, right?
No, because honestly, even though I had a newsletter for years before doing Substack, I just never use it. So again, Lisa, I'm sorry. I know
No.
it's like fundamentally important, but I don't understand it, and I guess I was never motivated enough to like teach myself how to do this thing. And Substack just made it so easy.
They
I just
really
migrated
do.
my list over there, so I know I'm not getting everything I could out of my newsletter, but I also know from looking at the analytics that more people are reading my Substack now than were reading my newsletter there. So I think
Mhm.
it's kind of a better option for me.
That's
Yeah.
interesting to know.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is that it's always best to work with like who you actually are. If you're a
Yeah.
person that doesn't want to spend that much time or energy on it, which you are, and you like it's worthwhile, but this is easier and I'll actually do it. That's
Yeah.
enough. That's a good enough reason. Like for me, I feel like I have too many other things going on that I do find really, really useful. And I have thought about doing things like exporting my list once a week or every couple of weeks. I guess I should do it every couple of weeks when I send it out, but exporting my list every couple of weeks and doing Substack that way, and then just keeping MailerLite for all of the other stuff that I have stayed with it for.
The other
Because
cool thing too. Oh, sorry.
no, I was gonna say, because I really love a lot of the features on Substack.
It's have you seen the notes feature? It's fairly new. It's basically like Twitter. It's you do exactly like you would on Twitter, but it's obviously it's only Substack and it's only the people you follow, and it's I saw one guy recently say being on Twitter is like, your crazy ex who comes to your like workplace and rants and throws stuff around, and Substack notes is like the note your wife leaves in your lunchbox that says I love you. Like
That feels
it
right. I haven't even used it, and that feels right. Yeah.
feels like what Twitter was in the very earliest days and what we want it to be. Just like a nice, calm community of people sharing little notes and restacking each other. And like, I really love that part of it. I don't know.
You're selling me on it. That's really very appealing.
Yeah.
Ma says all I know about launching books is throwing them across the room, so not very helpful. 88 Green, it was so fun writing with you too. Thank you so much. Have a great nap, and we'll see you next time. John says, I don't have page numbers on my cheap Amazon books. My book launches have been push the publishing button, try to give away books. It didn't work. So now I'm trying trads and I'm here to learn. Oh, good. Well, maybe we should do a little better prepared book launch discussion.
Lisa, you should just straight up make a webinar on how to do a book launch. I would pay. I would pay him that.
Well, thanks, Michelle. I'll sign you up. Yeah, I think there's something. I mean, I think there's something to it, and there is definitely, there's a lot of ways you can spend time and waste money, and I think if I do this, I'd sort of do like the shoestring budget. If you've got some cash to spend, if this like one thing that really helps push a lot of books is Facebook ads, but a lot of people do not feel like they have the budget for that, or they don't want to do it, or that is a whole other can of worms. And yet that's a really key component to selling some books. John, I'm worried about the page numbers. They don't cost any extra. You can buy Atticus, or I don't know which Vellum is. I think they're around the same price, but there are several little book grinders that allow you to design beautiful books, even if you do not have the interior of print books, even if you do not have much in the way of design skills. So let's have some page numbers in our print books. It makes them easier to navigate. Yeah, so let's do that. That's your goal for this year. Page numbers by 2024.
Yes.
Twitter is like the top comment section of world events. It's a great place to get snippy, and that's what I know, right? I do feel like if this is terrible. I'm gonna confess something to you guys right now.
Okay.
If I'm in a crappy mood, I will sometimes go to Twitter, and I don't know why. Why would you do that? It's like I would like more misery and healthiness, and like why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media was that for me. You know, it just became like a bad mood thing, and I think that's what it is for so many people to rant. So I completely got away from that. I also have another thought, Lisa.
Yeah.
As far as the webinar, if you're going to do a course on writing books, maybe that's like a free hour webinar to lure them into your course.
Your lead.
Yeah. Of course, if they need the webinar, then they probably have already written the book. A lot of times people do not get into it, but I do love this idea. And I like talking about book launches. So I might do a little something with that. I might do a little. I think I actually have another release coming out next month because deadline.
You're nuts. You are crazy.
Year. Well, I had like a year ramp up, and this is actually a shorter nonfiction. I know I am nuts, though. I will say for anyone considering doing this, spectacular. Like we'll see if I can catch up. I don't know if I won't end up in Twitter jail or in KDP jail for another year, but I will keep you all informed. Yeah, I mean, in some ways it worked because I had all those pre-orders, and part of it was like I'm writing a series, so you got to link to the next book, to the next book, to the next book. So that part of it worked out great. The part of like, oh, I better get those books done pressure, that worked out great. It's May and now I have to come up with all these, like now I got to finish all these projects right at the beginning of the summer when it is like typically my work level goes like, because I'm very much a summer girl. Yeah. So, but I love this idea. And if you guys are looking for it, I will put something together.
Hey.
Yay. All right. Thank you, Miss Texas G. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. All right, this is good. Plushy Twitter is pretty fun. Okay, that's good. Stay away from Twitter. It's a drive-by food fight. Yeah,
good.
It's terrible. It's that is. You can tell you're a writer, right? That is a spectacularly visual and awesome way to describe Twitter. A drive-by food fight. Absolutely. What's a good estimate? Oh, this is a good question. What is a good estimate for a developmental edit on a 148K model? I assume you mean manuscript. My story is ready, but my budget is not.
I was just thinking the answer for that.
All right. Do you have a number? Because I was gonna give us until after the break and have you answer when we came back.
I have a tiered system.
Don't worry, Siri. We'll explain it all.
I started putting like a tiered system in there, and I kind of figured based on people that I talk to that there's a variety of budgets and not everybody can fit a one size fits all. So depending on where you're at, where your budget is, I still try to be helpful, but different degrees of work from basic edit to a bit more of an educational kind of system going on.
A full-on development, so sort of the light, like a light polish versus a full-on developmental edit. What's your range here?
I just threw a link in the chat. Reedsy has a handy little calculator, so you can pick your genre, word count, and the type of service, like what type of editing you want, and it'll give you the average range based off what their freelancers are doing.
And that's a pretty good estimate because of that's a really good estimate because they have access to a lot of data. Robert, you want to drop it in and see how you compare?
Is about 5 cents a word. And that is pretty average from the people that I've talked to who are editing including a lot of people who aren't really editors. So you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's my full. It's my first novel, so I'm sure it's a full-on edit. You know what though? Let me just say, I have a client named Kel Carpenter, and she is a six-figure romance author, knocking on 7 right now as we speak.
Ooh.
And she's young, she's a young mom, and she like took on a second job and delivered pizzas to pay for the edit for her first book. And I think that was so smart. Certainly, there are a lot of different ways to approach this, right? You're going to have some people who are going to suck it up and figure out a way to pay for the editing. There'll be some people that sort of like, well, I'm going to, I don't have the money to do that. So I'm going to just do my best and barter services or, just try and edit it myself. And all of these approaches are valid. But certainly, paying for an edit, a good edit when you are first starting out is going to be really worthwhile to you because you're going to learn a lot of things that are going to serve you for the rest of your books.
I was also working on something that, might be useful for the future where there would just be like a simple questionnaire about key points of the story and structure that you could answer and get feedback on without paying like for a full edit.
Yeah. So Lainey says my editor does a manuscript critique that's less expensive than a full dev edit, but still gives an idea of what's up with the story. I think that's really, especially for somebody like you, Lainey, where you've been doing this for a while, and so you have a really good sense of it. But sometimes, we have big problems that are right in front of us that we can't see. So I think that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing Michelle's link. It's right here. And it's like the part that says that post has a calculator to show that's like 2 down. So this is the link. Everybody write fast. All right. Jamie Albright talks about how she sold plasma to pay her editor first.
That's intense.
That is intense. Oh, are you guys watching? You're all watching on YouTube. Hold on. I'll repost it in case that ends up being the thing. Can I do that? No, I cannot. Will you drop it in the private chat, Michelle, and I'll repost it on my account? Oh, you did? Perfect.
Yeah, it's in there.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully the ones of you who cannot see it, you can see it now. All right, there you go. Morgan says, I'd also like to suggest getting a critique partner first, where you exchange books and give a critique. You might be able to cut down the word count and therefore the cost. And also you might be able to, solve some of those early issues right away too.
Yeah, beta readers can be really helpful. And if you get your book in pretty good shape, then that cuts down on the editorial time, and that can really cut down on the cost.
Yeah. So typos got me bad. 104. So typos, you do not need to pay a developmental editor for. You should definitely run it through spell check for sure. And even Grammarly, although I would not take their rewrite suggestions because they tend to be fairly terrible. However, they're good with, basic grammar and spelling and punctuation and things like that. And there is a free version of that. So
most people that do edits seem to give not much more than a line edit for that 5 cents per word, which is pretty outrageous. I've seen some stuff that people have shown me, and I was like, wow, they would be great at line editing, but not
but not such a great developmental. I know that's it. Like I definitely have I'm a big picture person, so I'm good with the book coaching. I'm good with developmental editing. I would be a terrible line editor. Line editor.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't do that, and I wouldn't like to do it.
No.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and do our next 20-minute sprint. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. This is going to be our last one of the day. We've got just enough time to squeeze one more in and get those words out today. That sounds kind of gross. Let's write, shall we? All right. Here we go, everybody. We're getting started in 3, 2, 1. Last one. Make it count.
I can't hear you, Lisa. Oh, there we go.
If only I could mute and unmute myself. It's like it's my first time every time. And you know what's funny is like I have taken to muting the whole group, but then sometimes you and I mute you at the same time. Like today, we had like 20 seconds of you typing. But I was
Oh,
like, what is that delightful sound? Morgan's here. Hello. I love doing line edits too. I don't I actually like the editing process because you're done. You're just wordsmithing at that point, which is fantastic. So I do still love it. Heather, same thing. Loves the line editing. Yep. I guess we're not.
not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I
I
saw
find doing them
Dot
as-
here.
but like giving them as an editor, I'm not good at it. I don't
No.
catch all that little stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Vixen's here. Hello. We are super glad to see you today. Um, I'd love to, John. I think is it Pasquet. I'd love to hear what they say about this. I was fooling myself thinking I was happy with anything other than the seventh draft. I'm on the third draft. I will say, I'll tell you what my opinion is. Third draft is great, and more drafts are more common when you're earlier in your career. And although I honestly have some author friends who've been around for a while who have like 57 drafts at any given time for any book. For me, by the third draft, like if I like generally speaking, I'm making it worse at that point. It's not getting better about that. Um, how about you, Michelle? What do you think?
How many drafts?
Yeah.
I think 3, and then I start to burn out, and I need other people's opinions.
Yeah. Right. And then you can come back to it and do a little
Yes.
cleanup or
After
whatever.
that, I can do more, but like just on my own, 3 max.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
People mowing the lawn, so I might have to mute. Always happens on a Wednesday.
Lisa's my twin. That is true in so many ways, isn't it, Avi? I mean, obviously the editing and the wordsmith, but also we're such beachy girls, and we both love Odin, so there's that. But yeah, we have a lot in common. I always think that's so funny. Miss Texas G says line editing proves to me that I can't spell. I love that. Laura's here. Hello, Laura. We are super glad to see you today. Doll's got 2 big drafts and a bunch of minor rewrites. That's her usual. And John says, maybe if you like line editing like me, you have more drafts. Oh, that's true. I don't know. I get fatigued after a while. I don't see mistakes. Yeah. So about 3 is where I am. Kara says, I'm the opposite of many of you. I'm not a developmental editor. I'm very nitpicky line copy editor and proofreader. You know
Bless
what? Yeah, bless you. And we all need both kinds for sure. That is absolutely the truth. Love that. All right, you guys, it is 1:00. So we are going to say goodbye for today. Let's go ahead and quickly do our outros. I think I started with Robert, so I'm going to end with Michelle going first. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
All right, I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write middle grade and young adult novels. My channel is Writing Workshops, Traditional Publishing Chat, and Writing Vlogs.
Thank you so much for being here today. Robert, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel before we go.
I'm going to try to get it in. My channel is The Story Detective, where I take various forms of storytelling, put it under a Sherlockian microscope, and break down the craft for the viewer. New videos planned and coming relatively soon.
Love that. That is awesome. Thank you very much, Devin. We're so glad to see you. I'm Lisa Daly. I write contemporary romance, primarily romantic comedy and nonfiction advice. And this Friday, in an unexpected twist for book launching, I have my brand new book and workbook coming out. You guys got to, I think I showed you guys the workbook on a previous stream. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. Book and a workbook launching on Friday. If you ever wanted to write a self-help book, this is the book you need. All right, guys. And of course, on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. So you guys are amazing. We are so happy to be able to write with you every week. And we will catch you next time. See you next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Forward slacking, everybody.